your focus is transforming education. What are some of the big trends that are emerging in education, and what are you seeing?
I think with the technology transformation, we are seeing a big shift in education. And the traditional educational system is actually built around um, bringing together the faculty, the teachers, and the students and learners in the same place at the same time because we didn't have any other option. So we built campuses and we created faculties, we created courses, and we designed everything around this time and location based educational system. And that there was nothing wrong with that. Now, with the help of digital technology, I think we are now emancipated from this time and location boundaries. So we can study anywhere, anytime. And that actually gives us a fundamental change opportunity also for education. So, um, because of that design in the educational system, actually, what I've seen as an educational entrepreneur, as a founder of a university, I've realized that universities are more in real estate industry than they are in education industry. So we will talk more about that, but that mandates lots of things in the education design. But at the end of the day, it limits flexibility and it limits affordability. Limits flexibility because you have to be in a certain place, certain time, but also it limits affordability because it, at least 80% of the tuition that we pay today to universities in different ways are somehow created from that time and location based costs.
We saw it in the UK, I have to say. Just during the pandemic, lots of kids who were going to university were forced to pay university fees and rental accommodation to stay on campus. And when they got to campus, they were locked into their rooms, and many of them never met anybody. I know two friends, children who have left their universities uh, because they never met anybody in the first 2 years. One person met one person in all that time, and they paid a lot of money for the the privilege, so-called privilege. So that model is broken, isn't it?
Yeah, it is outdated. It's really outdated. It's what brought us today but it is not necessary anymore. But I think we're seeing lots of universities and government are still sticking to that structure because there's economic reasoning behind that. So bringing these students to a certain location, there's an economical benefit of that, which I understand. But I think we have, the costs of this are much higher than the benefits. The second the second transformation that we are seeing, we should be seeing as well, is the whole. That's same with the business, but also but more with the education. The whole education is designed with a very um, engineered a masculine mindset of teaching. So it's one way, it's individual, it's quite cognitive. So that's also in a way imposed with that structure, like the time and location based structure. What can you give in a when you have like 40 minutes of classroom time? What can you really do there? I mean, because that's all you've got. So that limits that, and we now have the opportunity to move beyond this individual and cognitive based of learning towards social learning, which you with your example that not being able to meet anyone. I mean, you should be able to not only meet but study with people because learning is a social process. It is not only an individual process. So moving from individual to cognitive to social and experiential, then we have a four dimensions of the learning, and we kept missing that in the traditional system in a brick and mortar education system. And now the digital technology gives us that opportunity too.
Alper, I heard you talk there about, and I wrote them down as availability, accessibility, affordability, and actually the approach of learning, the approach of education. As you start to talk there about what are some of the things that we're going to see in the future of education, do you have some specific examples of where you're seeing organizations or institutions do this really well?
Yes, I think I think we are seeing more and more organizations who is now working with flexible hours, work anywhere policies, remote working, and so that's a great change. And even the most conservative ones are now mentioning the hybrid. So when I hear hybrid, that means conservative to me.
You see hybrid as conservative. What would you say is the
Normal.
is what should be normal?
Yeah, remote. I mean, the remote is the normal. I mean, or work anywhere. I mean,
Yeah,
just don't
interesting.
limit that. Yeah, because this is like 100 years old thinking, putting people into brick and mortar places and making them work 9 to 5. We know that life is not that static. That it's not that linear. I mean, I mean, we can work anywhere, anytime. Based on our priorities. I have children to pick up from school.
Yeah.
That's a time I want to be with my daughter, but then I can work when she is at a whatever class in the evening or doing homework or whatever. So I think we should have this fluid and dynamic sense of work, and same is with the education. So in my ideal world, when we see progressive companies and progressive educational institutions embracing that dynamic concept, then we can we don't have to babysit students for 3 years, 4 years, try to find them housing and everything. They can work and study at the same time, and there's nothing better than practicing your learning in a work environment in whatever level.